I and my family had been in the animal rights movement for decades. And so it wasn't until recently that I began to see how we weren't calling in other people. Because I actually thought, and I'm bearing my truth here, is that I thought that the reason the animal rights movement was so white was because people of color had more important things that were more relevant to their life to fight for, which is probably true. But I didn't see the other side, which is also that we weren't calling it in people of color at all. And I didn't see that. I didn't see that until the last 6 years, maybe. And now I'm noticing it. I notice it much more. And it's still an issue, I believe. Could you talk a little bit about that and how you changed actually in terms of your view of the animal rights movement?
When people who don't know your culture, who don't really have anything, don't really have anything to do with you. It's like you have no, say you're a white person, you have no Black friends or anything. But now that you have this cause, you want to come to us and tell us to fight for your cause, for your reason, when it's like, we're just like, why? But when I learned about animal rights from a Black source, that was kind of what opened my eyes. And it's just also, it's someone knowing how to talk to you, somebody who you trust, understanding what you're going through, saying like, okay, I know that you're dealing with A, B, and C, but, taking my experience into account, but here's something else to consider. I think that really helped, and tying it into culture. Like someone told me, they were talking to me about even in, Africa, pre-slavery, there were places where there were countries where they ate and eat, but it was more out of necessity. They prayed over the entire animal. Like it was one of those, like you're thanking this animal for giving life. There was a spiritual bond between, the people and, the animals and the land. And like what we're doing now with our food system, culturally, this is not where your roots are. So to participate in this sadistic process is actually against who you are. And I think once someone kind of broke it down for me, because that's another thing, it's not someone talking at me. It's someone who understands me, understands things I care about, and breaking it down in a way that is relative and palatable for me. So I think that was the game changer. And I guess for my documentary, because someone said to me, like, you're losing the purpose of veganism. Like it's mainly about the animals and blah, blah, blah. And it's just like with that person, I'm just like, you want people to do things for your reasons, which is why they won't. Like I took the time, like, what's my audience? What do they care about? As sad as it is, and I don't like this, but they don't really care about the chickens. Like that's just the reality. They care more about their grandmother being healed of her heart condition. They care about things that are close to home. So what I can do is I can, expand on these things that are close to home. And while I have their attention, just go like, oh yeah, and look at this cruel stuff that's happening to the animals. That's messed up too. Like just knowing how to give people information is really important and overlooked.
Yeah, you had somebody, Christopher Sebastian, in your film who I is that his name? I thought what he said was very powerful. And he said, animal liberation is tied to Black liberation, to women's liberation, queer liberation. And I guess it's about us being able to look at it from all those different points of view and speak on it like that, share it from that point of view.
Definitely. Because as long as it's, in a sense, as long as it's okay to treat animals with cruelty, people sometimes they see others as animals. And that's right. And as long as we're allowed to treat animals poorly, it's just like, oh yeah, we could treat this Black man poorly. He's an animal. But if you just say like, no, it's not even right to treat animals cruelly. We just can't, we got to take out cruelty completely. Then, I feel like that mentality just serves, like he was saying, like it serves every movement.